I'm jWesley.
Lizzy Gabor here. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. We start a little bit early, as you know, with some music, courtesy of Lizzy Gabor and Company, to set the theme of what we're talking about. And we do this early sign on for some background chatter, and I guess to get the commercial breaks out the way also. For those who are seeing us for the first time, we thank you for that. For those who are coming back, we thank you even more for your return interest, your return loyalty to our program. Some points to consider. You can look at us not necessarily at 8 o'clock in the morning, but you can also look at us on the reruns, I call it, on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. It's actually sent through those on the live version also. But if you want to leave a comment, you can look through either of those three platforms. We do ask if you do YouTube version that's connected to Google, sign into your account. Otherwise, you won't be able to leave a comment back to us. And speaking of comments, we're getting more and more, and we appreciate that. We're getting input, we're getting questions, we're getting likes even. Feel free to share a like during the course of this presentation. You don't have to commit to a comment, but let us know you're out there. Let us know that you're listening. We would really appreciate that. Remember to share us with your friends, besides leaving comments also, because we love the feedback and we want to grow our family. Any thoughts on that, Lizzy?
Oh, no, absolutely. We love, love, love for you to join in our conversation. That's what makes it more rich, and we're hoping that it be of value to you.
And also to me, folks, I need all the help I can get. This lady, Lizzy, she is a phenomenon. She is so artful about rope-a-doping around the world and around the ring, you might. So it's hard to nail her on something. So I need help. So please, please, please leave your comments and share. That being said, we do set micro series, and the series this time is declutter. Is that I think that's what we're talking about here. For those who don't know what this is about, Lizzy is a right brain persona, wellness coach, healthy, productive persona in terms of life philosophy. I'm a left brain kind of guy, and I just don't get this yin and yang stuff. So I'm trying to make sense of it, and she keeps trying to get in my head and says, Joe, doesn't that make sense to you? No, it doesn't make sense to me. So this ongoing struggle now, we're on our 68th version, and despite our differences, or because of our differences, we're learning a lot, and hopefully you learn with us also. So declutter is a theme. I have to write this stuff down today, or somewhat. And the current theme has to do with your mind. Is it filled with flowers or weeds? Now, my take on this is that I've never had to deflower a garden or de-vegetable a garden. I had to de-weed a lot of stuff. Put up the dandelions. For example, to start a garden of any type, I have steps because I'm not a green thumb persona. You got to decide what you're going to get. You got to do the clearing. I mean, you gotta. You got to do the seeding or planting the whatever the doohickey is in its beginning phase of it. You got to do the watering. You got to do the sun thing. You got to do everything else you got to do. And then you got to do the de-weeding. Life seems so much easier if you say, well, if Mother Nature meant for weeds to be, then why am I fighting this so hard? So help me out on this.
I think the reason is, that we get these challenges, which are the weeds, and nature has them too, and so we have to be proactive in pulling them out so that we can make the room for the flowers to grow.
But it sounds like we're acting against something that's just so natural in life. I mean, really, if weeds were so bad, why are they so prevalent?
Well, it is our natural tendency is to grow more weeds than to grow more flowers.
There you go.
Old brain. It's that old, brain of being protective. However, as we evolved, we now know that we can be proactive in growing the flowers in our mind, and that we do that by planting positive thoughts into our mind. And, we're really, really good at growing those weeds. We're really good at the negative.
No. Don't say that. Oh, I see. We are good at growing the weeds, yes, but don't they just kind of grow by themselves? I would think, from what I'm looking at here.
I mean, life is full of rain and sun, right? It's the ebb and and the flow. There's always the coming in and the going out, and we have lots of storms, and but there's also lots of sunny days, so it's also, how do we handle those storms? Do we ride them out, or do we just get down about the rain? Oh, the weather stinks. Oh, it's raining again. And I think that's what's the troublesome weeds that happens to people. I mean, and so you got to think about, what is it for you? What are those things that create those storms for you in your mind? I mean, I think for a lot of people right now, it's worrying about the uncertainty of the future, and worrying about, what's going to happen. And I think I've heard that a lot with people. They just don't know what their next move should be, but then I always say, what's the worst that happened? Have you survived up till now? You're still here, and if you're able to live through whatever you've already lived through,
right,
you can handle pretty much anything. I think that we need to remind ourselves that we can handle, all of the things that we've already gotten through.
But what if we feel we don't have the skills? I mean, it's one thing to say, rephrase that. I can claim I can beat Muhammad Ali in a heartbeat. I can have him out half the round, but do not put me in the ring with him, because I wouldn't know how to go about it. So isn't that what people's lives are about somewhat?
Funny that you say that. I always say, like, to people, like, I know that I could run a marathon. I could if I trained, and I did.
There you go. There. If.
However, I choose not to. So, I mean, I think we can develop the skills that we want to develop in order to get us where we want in our lives. I think that people don't realize that we are more powerful than we will ever know that we are. We have more capacity than we ever know that we could. It's just that sometimes we have to develop ourselves,
Well, no, excuse me. Folks, I have to interrupt on this one. This has been the core difference between myself and Lizzy in the more than a year plus of our interacting. All you have to do is do it, or figure it out and make it happen. It's like you turn this light switch on and the chimes go off, surprise, happy birthday, the horns blow. It doesn't work that way for me. I'm looking at maybe like a rheostat. You got to first feel along the wall to find the switch, and then figure out which way to turn it. So that's how I'm looking at this. Give us maybe some tidbits of how that's doable.
I think that first, just to say that, there's a study done, I don't know, 30 years ago, but it's about, whether people have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. And people that are, and some people are really just they study kids, and some kids are just kind of born with this growth mindset, so that when they make mistakes, it's like a challenge, and they keep wanting to learn and keep going. A fixed mindset, they think this is the skills that I have, and I can't improve. This is just who I am. And but however, we can develop a growth mindset if we start to become aware that we have this fixed mindset. And how do we do that? We do that with paying attention to becoming aware of what our thoughts are, catching the things that we say to ourselves and we say about ourselves to others, like, I'm just not, I can't do math, I can't do this, I can't, and catching yourselves and turning it around, and, instead of criticizing yourself, turning around, like, I may not have this skill now. However, if like I said with the marathon, if I trained every day and I followed a system that works, that I know works for other people, just like, again, the 4-minute mile, if people thought it wasn't possible, people thought we could never fly a plane. You have to contemplate what the possibilities could be for you, for yourself, or for whatever it is you're trying to create, and kind of spend some time in that contemplation of what you think is possible. So becoming aware, paying attention to what you're saying to yourself and to others, really and getting good at catching yourself when you are limiting yourself in your mind. I always go back to counting your blessings. Count your blessings daily, on a daily, of what you're grateful for, and it could be really small things. Get into a habit of even on the days that you don't really feel like you're having many blessings, think about what it is. You woke up, you had food, or you had a car that took you to work.
Oh, that's a big joy.
Not everybody has that. Not everybody has that.
I get to face rush hour traffic. I'm pumped up already on that one. So
right.
I hear what. Go
even like
ahead.
when I have, I get tendonitis sometimes in my elbows.
Mm-hmm.
I have problems with my back sometimes, and I could either get really down on myself about, and just feel like I can't do the workout I want to do, and get really I'm say things like, oh, I'm just getting older,
Mm-hmm.
or I can say, I can do this activity. I can still walk around, take a nice walk outside. I can still do this type of thing and
Mm-hmm.
focus on the things that I can do. I can still dance in the morning, which
Mm-hmm.
makes me feel great and have great energy. So, you can see the difference, right? In each of those statements. So I think really practicing, we got to practice that.
I hear that. And I'm going to go back to something you said a little bit earlier about the two types of kids in the study done a while back. And those are challenge focus. And what was the other phrase?
A fixed mindset or a growth mindset, or
Fixed or growth. Fair enough. Now, I'm a biology major, folks. And many people don't know this, but chicks and turtles, baby turtles, they're both born in eggs. And they have to, the turtles also, they each have a beak that drops. It's like a baby teeth that drops off after us, but they use that beak to chip the way out of their egg. It's been shown if you help them, if you break the eggs for them, there's a failure to thrive. They
mm,
just won't. They need that challenge. Or babies, slap them so they can scream or cry to open up their lungs and get the oxygen in, get the air in.
hmm
So Mother Nature seemingly has deliberately made criteria for some of us that if you're going to thrive, you're going to have to go through the weeds of life to make you stronger for it. Is that kind of what you're saying? Maybe?
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's like, and it's almost, I think for us, it's like when we make a mistake, what do we do? What do we do? Do we go back into our shell and hide, or do we again push through it? And I think that those mistakes and those challenges are like fertilizer for our
Mm-hmm.
garden. They could they help us grow. They help our brain grow. They help us grow. And so um just being kind and patient, just like those ticks are, being patient with ourselves while we learn and we grow. We don't bloom overnight. We're constantly blooming, and we got to keep pushing through when we have those challenges.
Yeah, it kind of comes to mind. I hate exercising, and I may have shared this with you earlier. And biology major, you watch commercials, people exercising, just grinning all over the place. I'm saying, like, where does that come from? Now, I know technically you're supposed to be releasing endorphins, and it's a shared experience. Not me. I don't like exercising. But I realize if I want to be a hunk, I gotta exercise, whether I like it or not.
That's
And so
right.
there's a price to pay. So I make the decision. First, I decide I want to be a hunk. Like, it's even possible. And then I decide. So you gotta put your mind to this to really
Right?
work at it. And then you go through the processing of it. Is that kind of what you're saying here? Is that the de-weeding phenomena to get your
And that's
space for your flowers?
having that growth mindset that, if you keep going to the gym every day, things are going, your body's going to respond, and it's going to grow those muscles.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yes, I definitely think so. And I mean, believe me, I can tell you, I spent many years, 35 years with a bully in my mind for, chronically, that was always telling me how inadequate, I was inadequate in one way or another. And so, and if
Mm-hmm.
I have been able over the last 20 years to really grow that growth mindset and I have an unwavering belief that I can pretty much, if I put my mind to it, I can do anything. So if I can do that, anybody can.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can learn how. Um,
Right.
and just to remember, like, there's that, your mind is a garden. Your mind is a garden. Your thoughts are the seeds. You can plant flowers or you can plant weeds.
Okay. Ooh, there's
Just to,
a poet, and you know it.
it's not my poem.
Okay, fair
The
enough.
choice is ours. The choice is ours. So we have choice.
And to me, I won't necessarily the bigger picture, but the underlying picture is not so much as I'm hearing it, the de-weeding process to make room for the flowers is the exercise itself that gets you there. And actually, as I think about it, the flowers come not because you went to the local store and bought flowers necessarily. The flowers you generate because in the act of getting rid of the weeds, you've already begun to develop the fertilizer for growth of yourself and the world around you. Is that kind of what you're
Yeah,
saying?
absolutely. I think again, just when you catch yourself, thinking negatively, just don't try to resist it, and don't try, because that would make you more frustrated. But instead, just catch yourself and just rephrase, give yourself a positive phrase, and again, that's going to help that flower push through the ground and start to bloom. So I love this I love this metaphor of flowers and weeds. I think it's visual. And so, you can visualize yourself pushing through any challenge and coming out, as or even like a butterfly, that caterpillar has to, to get through to become this butterfly. If you take a look at the how that works, it's in nature, it's pretty incredible. And when we are also part of that thing, and we actually have this brain that actually it can change, and the structure can change, is what we now know. So, again, meditation, I always say, but meditation is one way that we can actually change those neural pathways to make our brain more happy and more compassionate. And so we are, again, I'll just to circle back to that, we are far more powerful than we will ever know we are. So.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very much for that closing on this. I hope the audience had some thoughts and responses and shares on this. We really appreciate hearing about you. And we do audit these platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, even after this program. So we do get a lot of comments, as I said earlier, for people who didn't see maybe the live performance. Subscribe to us and share us. You want to take us home with some music?
Yeah, absolutely. Higher Love. This is a great song.
What's the title?
Higher Love.
Okay, Higher Loves. Okay.
Steve Winwood, but there's also lots of other artists that sing it. It's really good.
Sounds good. Well, folks, again, hope you enjoyed it. Hope it had value or not. Let us know either way. And share and subscribe.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Take care, folks. Enjoy.